You have probably felt it, the constant buzz in your pocket, the endless scroll, the exhaustion of being reachable 24/7. People are actively trading their high-end smartphones for basic dumb phones to escape the screen time and notification fatigue. But when you actually try to make that switch, the options are frustrating. Boutique minimalist phones can cost hundreds of dollars, while the cheap modern feature phones at the drugstore often feel like flimsy, disposable plastic. There is a completely different strategy. You can bypass modern tech entirely and pick up a piece of vintage hardware from the golden era of mobile phones. That brings us to Siemens. In the early 2000s, this German company built mobile phones as heavy-duty industrial machines rather than fragile fashion accessories. Tracking one of these down today means choosing a dedicated, single-purpose hardware tool over a distraction machine, rather than simply chasing Y2K nostalgia. To figure out exactly which level of retro tech aligns with your specific digital detox needs, we are going to evaluate 5 legendary Siemens archetypes. This spectrum diagram illustrates the modern buyer's challenge. Picking the wrong vintage phone will leave you stranded with administrative frustration, but choosing the right one guarantees a successful, peaceful digital disconnect. Let's start at the absolute extreme end of the detox spectrum. This is for users who want absolutely nothing more than voice calls and text messages. The foundational model here is the Siemens C25. Its primary historical strength was a massive, multi-day battery life, providing total reliability for the beginner. It also delivered incredibly clear call quality, holding on to a solid connection even when you were operating in heavily degraded signal areas. If you plan to rely slightly more on texting, the Siemens A35 serves as the stylish, budget-friendly alternative for heavy SMS users. The A35 featured a highly comfortable physical keypad and a durable casing. It was cheap to replace and tough enough to serve as a worry-free daily carry. Here's the required input to use either phone today. You must be willing to rely on slow T9 typing, and you must research carriers that still provide compatible aging 2G or 3G network SIM cards. The C25 and A35 are specifically for purists. They actively slow down your communication to discourage people from reaching you outside of essential calls. If you are a tradesman, a hiker, or working in an off-grid environment that actively destroys modern glass screens, you need a different physical profile. That requires the Siemens ME45, engineered from the ground up as a true utilitarian communication tool. Its major historical innovation was the inclusion of robust physical seals, making it one of the very first consumer phones to be highly dust and splash resistant. Because it prioritizes hardware survival over pocketability, the physical footprint of the ME45 is intentionally bulky and unrefined. Achieving this level of ruggedness today requires effort. You will have to hunt on secondary markets for 20-year-old replacement batteries to keep it functional. The ME45 is massive overkill for a casual office worker trying to do a weekend detox, but for off-grid isolation, it remains the ultimate survival tool. Finally, we have the hybrid user. You want to drop the addictive smartphone algorithms, but you refuse to give up essential modern comforts like having music on a run. This image shows the Siemens S55. At the time, this was the business-class premium phone designed for the power user. It bridges the gap between pure dumb phone and smartphone by offering an early color display, basic camera support, and rudimentary internet features. Is audio your priority? The Siemens SL45 arrived completely ahead of its time, specifically engineered to appeal to the audiophile. It featured the groundbreaking inclusion of a built-in MP3 player and expandable memory card support, a significant technical achievement for mobile hardware. Accessing these features today has a hidden cost. You must source your MP3s locally, manage clunky physical file transfers, operating exactly like it is 2001. The S55 and SL45 trade algorithmic app addiction for heavy administrative tech maintenance. They are perfect for the dedicated digital hobbyist. Siemens proved that phones should be reliable tools. The final purchasing choice comes down to matching the hardware to the specific job. This decision tree sets up the final purchasing logic framework, categorizing your options based on 3 distinct lifestyle goals. Path 1 is the pure disconnect. If your goal is curing screen addiction on a tight budget, you must hunt down the C25 or A35. Path 2 is extreme durability. If you are routinely breaking smartphones on job sites or trails, the tank-like ME45 is the only logical target. Path 3 is offline media. If you absolutely need music for a weekend detox, the SL45 is the necessary choice. Regardless of the path you choose, adopting any of these tools requires fully accepting the loss of modern cloud syncing and app ecosystems. You cannot buy these specific phones at mainstream retail anymore. However, taking the time to hunt them down on the secondary market is the first step in committing to a real digital detox. Carrying a vintage Siemens forces you to be fiercely intentional about exactly when, where, and how you communicate with the outside world. This intentionality exposes the modern smartphone, which is inherently designed to passively steal your attention rather than simply perform a requested function. Siemens leaves behind a clear benchmark. Technology should serve you as a dependable, singular tool.